Why, hi there, you cloud-looking Kerbinauts. So, we're officially done with the tutorials for now till the devs release more. This is going to be our first official gameplay video, and we're going to the Mun. And I want to teach new players how to get there. And by new players, I mean those who have never even played KSP 1 before. So if you're a veteran player, this might not be the thing for you unless you just want to be entertained. Then come along for the ride, man. So I'll start out by just saying, if you are a brand new player to KSP, I recommend you do the tutorials yourself first and then come back and join us, because I'm going to assume you know some things with like working the UI and stuff like that, but I'm going to walk you through step by step what you need to do just to get down to the Mun, walk on the Mun, and then come back, bring your Kerbinaut back to Kerbin. All right, so let's start out with building our rocket. Now we're not going to do anything with rendezvousing and docking, so there won't be a separate lander and a separate command module like in the Apollo program or with like Artemis 3 with Starship and the Orion capsule. This is just going to be like an SSTO kind of thing, like a single stage to the moon surface, and then we'll take that same exact stage back to Kerbin and splash it down. All right, nothing too complicated, basically the minimum that we're going to need. So first you need your command module. All right, your command pod. Just go with this, a one-seater. All right, there is no science to do. You don't need to bring a scientist and a pilot or anything, so just get that. Next thing you need to attach is a heat shield. All right, again, go with small. I'm going to assume you know how to do most of these things, so just kind of follow along. Next thing you need to do is put a decoupler on there, a stage separation gizmo thing. Make sure the arrow is pointing up. Next thing is fuel tanks. Now you can choose whatever fuel tanks you want. You can modify this how you want. I'm just kind of going to slap a few parts together here. All right, we'll go with that just to make it look kind of weird, because I'm a weird guy. And we'll add a couple of these on there as well. Press the X key to bring 4 of them up and just slap those on as well. Come down here. Again, I'm going to assume you know how to do some of this stuff. With the alignment tool, click on it, hit the C key, so it doesn't like snap. It'll just kind of smoothly flow where you want it to go. That's good. We'll go with that. C key again. I like to have that snap button feature on for most of the time. We need to put an engine on here. So let's go with the Terrier engine. It's a very efficient vacuum engine. All right. And we're going to need some landing legs as well. So go to the legs, the ground. We'll go with small. This isn't a big lander, so get 4 of them on there. Go ahead and extend them. Make sure they go past the engine bell. You don't want to land on your engine bell. Bring them down a little bit more. Back to this alignment tool. See how we can't go straight down with it, so we need to go back to it and hit the other part there. Now we can go straight down with it. There we go. Good. And we'll bring it in a little bit as well. C key. Go back to our alignment tool, go to the other one, and bring it in. And we can bring it up as well. Boom. Cool. Okay, we also need a ladder in order to get our Kerbinaut down to the surface. We'll just go with the small. We only want 1 of them, not 4. There we go. And we'll just put it right there. Okay, let's bring it down. It doesn't extend all the way down, that's okay. We'll just do a little hop if we need to. We could help it out and put one of these down here, but and move the ladder around, but I don't want to do that. No need. So let's bring our alignment tool back, click on it, C key, bring it in a little bit. All right, good. Now, what's weird about this game is, and I have this problem with the boosters as well, putting nose cones on like side boosters, is that when you slap a command module on here and then its ladder, its steps is off to the side. I don't like that. All right, I want it like in KSP 1. So you can fix this by clicking on that and just rotating it. Actually, yeah, you know, we're going to do that. We could click on the command module, but it's just more work to do it that way. So we're just going to rotate that over. Boom. Now our ladder is directly under those steps. All right, now we can bring that back up. We need a few more tanks of monopropellant. And we're going to need the RCS thruster blocks. Ooh, cool. Nice view of the cockpit. We don't have cockpit view yet in this game, so it's pretty cool to look at, I guess. I've never really seen it before. Slap some RCS thruster blocks on there so you can more easily maneuver this thing. Let's tidy it up a bit. Click on them. C key, bring them in. There you go. That way they're not jutting out. Make them look clean. Okay, back to the RCS monopropellant. Go to fuel tank, scroll all the way down to monopropellant. Let's go with these smaller ones. Hit the X key to bring up symmetrical to 2. There we go. And maybe we'll put 3 of them on here. Hold the Alt key down, click, bring them back up. Alt key again, click. Booyashaka. Yep. I don't like how they're not completely evened out. There we go. Oh, nope, still not good. Call it my OCD, I guess. Dang it. We'll just try to move this one. Nope, now they're clipping. I hate this. There we go. Now that's good enough. That doesn't disturb my OCD. Click on them, bring them in. We'll just do one snap. That way they don't look so dumb. Okay, so you should have 6 of those, meow. We also need a shoot. Raw shoots. Snap that on there. Go ahead and let's adjust it. Deploy settings. Minimum pressure. Let's go 45. Yeah, let's go 50 since I passed 45. 50. Deployment altitude, we'll go, sure, just 800 meters exactly. That's cool. Okay, so that should be pretty much it for the lander. Go ahead and retract these. All right. And that's basically the most complicated part is the lander. And you always want to start at the top of your rocket and then work your way down. So the next thing we're going to do is add another coupling. Go with the small because it's a small engine. And we're going to make the bottom part of this rocket, the first and second stage, both medium size. So we've been working with small tanks and stuff. Now we're going to work with not medium, but medium. And we need a transition piece because that would just look stupid if we did that, right? So for transition pieces, this should be one. Boom. Now add that. Boom. Might as well just click a bigger medium piece for our first stage. Save that for a second. Let's go to engines. Our second stage engines will be these twin vacuum engines. They're very efficient. Back to coupling. Now we're working with mediums. Boom. Larger tank. Boom. Engines again. And let's go with the mainsail. It's pretty hefty, heavy-duty engine there. That'll get you off the pad for show. But we're gonna add a couple side boosters because boosters are fun. Boosters are fun. So we're gonna add some radial decouplers there so we can jettison these side boosters after we're done with them. Your SRBs or solid rocket boosters are under your engines because they're not fuel tanks, they're booster engines. And we'll go with the smalls, even though they don't look too small. They're quite hefty. Get them on there. Booyashaka. And let's get some aerodynamic nose cones on there as well. Go with these slanted nose cones. Boom. All right. Now, when we jettison these things, we want them to fall away and get away from our first stage so they don't hit it and destroy it. So we're going to help them out. I think these are under engines. Scroll down. Yes, right here. Separatrons. We're going to put 4 of them total, so 2 on each booster. 2 at the bottom. All right, and then 2 at the top. Still trying to get used to these controls. That's okay. And you can kind of notice they're clipping. They're touching our core booster here. I don't like that because this game's pretty glitchy right now, and there's a chance that those could prevent them from completely separating. So we're going to go back to our alignment tool, click it, press C so it doesn't snap. It's just smooth sailing. Just get enough space in there so the 2 aren't touching. That's just to make sure they aren't clipping. That should have done it for the other one as well. Yeah, okay. Now we go down. Same thing. Click on it. And it should move this one too because the 2 are linked. And just bring it in just a little bit. All right. Good stuff. Next, we need to have like a clamp thing touching our rocket so it doesn't like tip over on the pad. Actually, let's get some fins on there. Go to aerodynamic, go to, not wings, stabilizer, small stabilizer. And let's put these on the rocket itself. We want 4 of them. 4, X key, put them about right here. Hit the little wrench icon, and let's bring the root length down, and let's jut them out a little bit more. Let's move that wing angle as well. A little bit more, not that much, there we go. And root length a little bit more, boom. Okay. Oh, I have them off center, so we can fix that. Just grab them and move them where they should be. I think they're right there. Yeah, okay, that's better. Now grab our clampatron thing. Let's go to just 1. Let's get this on this little fin. And then 4. There we go. Good stuff. Now, although it would be nice to start this high because it's less gravity we have to fight, because gravity gets thicker the closer to the surface you are, or stronger, not thicker. We're going to go ahead and lower it a bit. So click on your command module and just kind of bring it down, downtown. And these controls are still kind of wonky to me. I think they're just wonky in general. And there we go. I know our center core engine nozzle is penetrating the floor of the VAB here, but I do that so it starts as low as it possibly can on the launch pad. All right, so I think we have everything we need to get to the Mun and back, but the important thing you never want to forget, if you can help it, is to stage. Fix your staging. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to light up the 2 boosters and that center core engine. So let's find those. Here's the boosters, center core engine, boom, that's our first stage. Then we'll release the clamps to make sure the engines are firing stable and everything. We'll release the rocket. Next thing will be to jettison the boosters and fire up those little helper stage septron things, whatever they're called. So let's make sure we have those. We have all 4 of them. We have the 2 radial decouplers. We can delete some of these empty ones. There we go. Then we have second stage separation, second stage ignition, then the landing stage ignition. I've come to realize that, at least as of now in this game, since it's so buggy, you don't want to put your engine and your separation in the same stage. Otherwise, they'll separate. They won't separate. The engine will ignite, but they won't separate. So always put your separation stage before the ignition stage. And then we can do shoot and, command module jettison at the same time. That's no problem. We want our pilot, of course, to be Jeb, because Jeb is dependable. The last thing I want to go over before we take this thing to the launch pad is, I don't know if this was a thing in KSP 1, maybe it was a mod, but I never used it. Regardless, is there's a trip planner, and this is pretty helpful. And what you do, it tells you if you have enough delta V or propellant and power to get you to where you want to go. So in our case, we want a round trip to the moon, to the Mun. So there and back to the Mun. Select Mun from Kerbin, which is the planet we're on, to the Mun. And it shows us how much delta V for each little thing here. Now, I've become pretty efficient after playing KSP 1 all these years to make my trips to the Mun and back pretty tight without wasting a lot of propellant. But right now it's saying that the delta V we have on our rocket is, oh, no, we don't have enough according to this little trip planner. However, I'm pretty confident this is going to be enough unless they change things since KSP 1, say the Mun is further away now from Kerbin, or the gravity well of Kerbin is stronger now than the Mun, or the Mun's gravity is now stronger. But I don't think that's the case. I think this is going to work for us. So we're just going to go with it and see if we can outsmart the trip planner. But I think you should use this for your own, gratification if you're not used to playing this game. And I will be using this if I decide to go to distant planets I haven't really been to. All right. So let's go ahead and save it as Mun Lander Demo 1. We'll just overwrite, I guess. And see you on the launch pad. Okay. Jeb's all happy. We'll see how long that lasts. After this thing clears the launch tower, you want to start slowly arcing right or east or 90 degrees. And that's because the rotation of Kerbin, just like Earth, rotates east. So you're already moving east. You might as well use that assist to push you into orbit. Okay, so don't fight it. So that's why we're going to go east. And we have SAS on by default. We'll just leave that as it is. We'll hit RCS. Since our rocket, if you built one just like this, if you followed me along with this build, our rocket's going to be a little top heavy, okay? So it'd be a good idea to hit RCS and have these RCS thruster blocks work for you to keep it stable. And I always activate those at like T-minus 2 or 3 seconds, just so we're not sitting on the pad wasting it. All right, I'll see you in the air. RCS on. And liftoff. Start arching to the right. Just a little bit, not a whole lot. Keep your reticle on the 90-degree line. Use those keys. Stand by for solid side booster separation. Spacebar. Alright, I always click orbit after that, and then you can go ahead and hit prograde. It should do the hard work for you. Look at that RCS working. Hey, there's our destination right there. How about that? All right, stage step again. Light it up. And now I'm just gonna click off SAS control. I'm gonna start tilting this thing basically all the way horizontal. We're at 36,000 meters. The atmosphere is pretty thin up here. Look at our little gauge, so we can go ahead and go sideways. Keep the RCS on. These engines right now in this game are kind of unstable. And engine off. X key. Okay. So we're just gonna kind of coast up, RCS off as well, kind of coast up closer to our apogee, so we're not gonna continue to burn and continue to raise our apoaps and get it way out ahead of us in really high altitude. That's just a waste of propellant. I try to keep this about 80 to 85,000 meters when I'm trying to get into Kerbin orbit. So we went a few thousand meters past where I like to be, but it doesn't matter. It's fine. This will work for our purposes. It's not gonna hurt us. So we're definitely in space right now. We passed that 70,000 meter Kerbin line, or Kerbin line, whatever they call it in this game. So we don't have any drag hurting us. We're just kind of coasting up. Let's go ahead and start our engines again. RCS back on. Keep it horizontal. Keep that reticle dot as close to the line that separates orange from blue, the sky from the ground. That will keep you horizontal. Keep an eye on your apoaps as well. Make sure it doesn't get too out of control. I believe orbit, the orbital velocity in KSP2, like KSP1, is still like 2,200 meters a second. Pretty sure. We have our monopropellant amount that's still left right up here. Our electrical charge is full still. It's because we've been burning engines pretty much this whole time. All right, we don't want to really go past our apoaps, so I'm arcing it back. I'm bringing us straighter up a little bit. That'll help keep the apoaps ahead of us, keep us from going over the apoaps, because once that happens, it's a lot harder to actually get to orbit. Basically what this means right now is that we went too horizontal too quickly. All right, so this is just an easier way to correct that. And we can fast forward just a little bit as we're waiting. So our apoap's starting to get out ahead of us again. We can go ahead and go horizontal. Oops, wrong key. Let's just go prograde. Let it do it for us. All right. Apoap's getting out ahead of us again. Just go ahead and cut your engine. Ooh. We almost kept it under 100,000 meters. It's going to go over by the time we're done, but that's fine. Almost to orbit. Just a couple hundred more meters per second to go. And we're over 100,000. Doesn't matter. Just means we wasted a little bit more propellant than we needed to. And let's go ahead and circularize. Engine off. Okay. So we have our circular orbit. We have made orbit around Kerbin. Next thing is to intercept with the Mun. Now, the Mun is in a nice, evened out, symmetrical circle around Kerbin. All right, it's even on the same orbital plane as us. Let's see if I can get these off here. Okay, so you don't need to adjust your orbit plane, stay on the same equatorial orbit. The thing is, if you aim your rocket at the moon right now and burn, by the time you get to the moon, it's gonna be way over here somewhere. It's like football. Quarterback anticipates where his wide receiver is going to be. So when he throws it out ahead. He leads him a little bit, throws the football out ahead of him, and he catches it. That's what we need to do with the Mun. So, like the tutorial said, you kind of want to burn on the opposite side of the planet. We'll create a maneuver node. Click on it. Prograde out. Means we're going to propel ourselves forward the direction we're heading to get away from Kerbin's gravity. Go ahead and just kind of mess with it. Click on the center. It's kind of hard to do because there's so much junk here. Grab it and kind of move it around a bit. We're still not intercepting with it, so let's go a little bit more. Okay, there we intercept with it. Now, if you were to take a baseball and throw it directly up, the slowest point of that baseball after you throw it is going to be at the very top of its parabola, all right? That's called its apogee. That's when it's moving its slowest, right before it starts coming back down. That's the point that we want to intercept with the moon, the moon's gravity, the Mun's gravity, because that's when it's going, our rocket's going the slowest. So we're gonna bring our burn down a little bit, and we're just gonna try our best to just barely intercept with the Mun's gravity. So just keep bringing it down. We want our apogee or apoaps with our perigee to pretty much come close together. So just move it to where the two are furthest apart and just keep retrograding. For this part right here, retrograde, bring them together. Move it again, right there, bring it down. Okay, all these little icons are pretty close together. That's about as good as we're gonna get before, because if we retrograde anymore, all right, we're not connecting with the moon's gravity anymore. So just prograde back out, and there we have our interception. Okay, so that's gonna expend the least amount of propellant to get to the Mun. And not only that, when we do enter the Mun's gravity, we'll be going so slow that we won't have to expend or waste additional propellant thrust just to stay in the Mun's gravity, all right? Because that's what we want to do. We want to capture our rocket inside the Mun's gravity, keep it there so we can descend down to the surface. With this nice new feature in KSP2, we can just warp directly to our maneuver node. Press V to get the camera angle you want. I like to do horizon while I'm orbiting celestial objects like Kerbin or the Mun. And then go ahead to your SAS control and hit the maneuver, all right? We have a maneuver set up. It will take us directly to the direction we want to point our rocket so we can execute this maneuver successfully. Okay. So we are pointed in the right direction now. The maneuver node on your little nav ball is the white triangle thing. Now we're just waiting 20 seconds to burn. We can fast forward a little bit more. 10 seconds. All right. Stand by for the Z key. And that will raise our apogee. You right click on the apoapsis and it will keep your altitude in meters up for you. We don't have to have that right now, but just so you're aware of it, because when you start doing rendezvous maneuvers, which I'll cover in an upcoming episode, you'll want to learn how to do that. Now, it should be noted that this burn timer, like the planner, is not perfect. It's just kind of a general thing. So just keep an eye on your apoapsis and wait for that interception. I would always cut my engine a little bit before interception just because I don't want to overshoot it and waste more propellant than we need to. So it's saying we should cut in about 2 seconds. 1, cut. Hey, how about that? It actually worked out perfectly with the timing this time, so great. Go ahead and delete it. And let's go ahead and time warp to our capture with the Mun. Click on time warp just past the interception, just past the point where we intercept and enter the moon's gravity, and time warp to it. Let's go to Celestial. There's Kerbin that we just left, and there's the Mun. Now we want to retrograde. So we've entered the Mun's gravity. All right. At our slowest point, we want to start burning backwards to slow down even more. Point our engines backwards, and Newton's third law, slow us down. Now you don't have to create a maneuver plan for this, but I'm going to just to demonstrate. At our periaps, go ahead and retro burn. Bring that rocket to such a slow speed that it can't leave the Mun's gravity anymore. And then just bring that perigee down close to the lunar surface. 72,000 meters. I like to keep it below 20,000, but above 10,000. That's good. 12,000 is like great. And go ahead and hit retrograde because we're burning retrograde. You could also once again hit SAS maneuver. It's the same thing in this case. It doesn't really matter. Pick which one you want to use. If we didn't set up a new maneuver node, you would want to hit the retrograde, but since we did, you can go ahead and hit the maneuver node. And then just go ahead and fast forward, time warp to that burn. Burning in 37 seconds. Again, this part doesn't have to be exactly timed. All right, if you were to burn now, you would still basically be captured in the same spot and end up in the same spot above the moon, okay? All right, burning in 2, 1. And this will slowly bring us down. And see where we're at, 47,000. Just gonna do manual here. I'm used to my throttle, so this sucks. All right, let's go a little bit more. 12,000, all right, we're there. Delete this maneuver plan, and now we can set up another maneuver node if we want and do the exact same thing, retrograde burn to bring our apoapsis down and circularize this orbit around the Mun, but I'm just gonna do it the way I just spoke about. I'm just gonna do it manually, so I'll time warp to about right here. Now I should be in the shadow of the Mun. Retrograde, it's already clicked, and you can't use maneuver node now because we didn't set up that maneuver node right here, so the only option you have is just retrograde, but it's fine, it's the same thing. And once we get close to our periaps, I'm just going to do another burn. I'm just going to eyeball it. As soon as that apoapsis gets down and our perigee starts to, you know, equalize with it, then we'll cut the engine and we'll be in a stable orbit. So this is time warp a little bit more. Dramatic music. All right, that's good enough. And now we're just gonna do a little bit of a burn. I'm gonna go to horizon again and burn. Bringing it down, bringing it down. I'll cut it once we get close, and I'll just do manual thrust again with the mouse. Even them out, there we go. So we're at 14,000 apoaps and 10,000 periaps. That's good enough. Again, try not, if you're gonna be in orbit around the Mun, try not to go below 10,000 meters because then you risk hitting craters and mountains or whatever. Okay, I have done that before a long time ago. So now we just need to pick where we want to land, okay? I like to land with Kerbin kind of on the horizon. It makes for great viewing. So I'm gonna land this thing. Ooh, it's gonna be kind of a difficult terrain here. I mean, this is the flat stuff right here. These seabed things, whatever they're called, I can't remember. But this looks like this might be flat enough. Is that gonna be kind of where we can see Kerbin on the horizon? Yeah, it might obstruct our view. We're gonna land it somewhere difficult right here, I guess. All right, that's probably gonna give us the best view of Kerbin on the horizon. And if we're gonna land on some uneven terrain that might, you know, possibly tip our lander, I'll show you what you can do to kind of steer away from those. All right, if the opportunity arises, I'll teach you that. So let's go ahead and just kind of warp to a little before where we need to do our burning. So about right here, and let's enjoy the view of this Kerbin rise over the Mun. Our time warp slowed down a bit because we entered pretty close to the Mun's surface. We're just 65,000 meters off the ground, okay? Our periaps and our apogee was showing us here. This is sea level, okay? So right now we're at ground level. Sea level, we're coming up on 9,000. We want to keep it on ground. Just waiting to see that Kerbin rise. Beautiful. Such dramatic music, bro. Screenshot. Okay. Let's go ahead and retrograde. All right, we already have it clicked, so it's doing that. I think we can burn right here. It looks kind of flat from here, so we'll go ahead and use what we can of our second stage that we still have connected to us. Let's do this thing. RCS on to help out, stabilize. Keep an eye on your surface speed. Okay, don't let it drop too much. You can kind of see where you're gonna land. I would love to land around this area. So we'll cut it here in a second. All right, cut it. And we'll jettison the second stage. And we'll just start using our lander stage propellant. There it goes. Activate our second stage engine. All right, make sure it's working. It is. And we can deploy our landing gear, G key. And there's a little bug right there, kind of pushed away our second stage. All right. This, like where we're at right now, looks relatively flat, so we're gonna just kind of zero out our momentum, our velocity right now. We'll bring it close to zero. All That's good enough. That way we'll land about right where we're over, because it's getting kind of hilly over on this side. Keep your RCS on once we get closer to the surface, and use the retrograde. Just keep that on. That will, the computer itself will then keep your engine pointed down, your landing gear pointed down. If you don't use this, if you keep it off, then you're going to be controlling both like the angle and the speed. If you have this on, you don't have to worry about the angle of the rocket. You can just focus on your thrusting and touching down nice and gently. Now, when science mode becomes a thing, you'll have to work your way up to earning these maneuver nodes, and you might have to land on the Mun surface using both the thrust and your angle, your angular momentum, okay? But for right now, we can cheat, so to speak, and let the computer do the hard work for us. Keep an eye on your not only ground speed, your surface speed, but also your altitude. You want both these numbers to hit 0 at about the same time. Our boulders and Mun rocks are starting to render in here. Make sure we're not going to land on any. Okay, that's good. Let's see how this surface is looking. It doesn't look too bad. I'm going to show you what to do if you're going to land on a very steep slope. All right, it might be a little slopage right there. We're going to land over here somewhere. So just go ahead and turn your RCS on. Just propel yourself a little bit more. Turn off your maneuver nodes or your SAS control. Not your SAS, but just any maneuver nodes you might have, like your retrograde, turn that off and just kind of arc it a little bit and then bring it down. And then back to retrograde, and now you can kind of choose a different landing spot. See how this is looking. Yeah, it looks pretty flat. Look at that. I managed to do it without my throttle and my joystick. RCS off. Good for you, Kev. And look at that. Kerbin is right there on our horizon, right below the sun. Welcome to the Mun, Jeb. Welcome, everyone. Okay. So the next thing we can do is, I'm just gonna, since we're not wasting any battery power, electrical charge is good, I'm just gonna keep SAS on, and we can do an EVA. Let's lower the ladder. And let's get Jeb out. Hover over his face and click. And hopefully he doesn't tip the rocket with his fat Kerbin booty. He looks pretty happy. I'm happy for you, Jeb. And use the keys to bring him down. F key to grab the ladder. Listen to those footsteps. Space to let go. Yay, we're walking on the Mun, kind of. We're actually hovering over the Mun. We're not actually technically walking on the Mun. Whatever. It's a work in progress. There you go. You can't do science, but you can at least do some Mun walking. And just check out the rocks. You can also fly around with your jetpack. I'm sure there's things on the Mun that you can explore and find. I don't know what. I haven't done that myself. I'm here right now with you. Take some sweet screenshots. You can also plant a flag. Go ahead and plant a flag, Jeb. Jeb, 'twas her. Nice. So vast, so lonely. He has nobody to share this moment with except for us, but he doesn't know we're watching. Okay, the run key is apparently glitchy, something for the devs to work on. So I don't make this video too long, we're gonna head back now, back to Kerbin, right there. Walk up to the ladder and maybe press F to grab it. It might be too high. Yeah, it's too high, so just get near it, turn around, and jump and hit the F key. There we go. F key again, and B key for board. Okay, just because I'm OCD, I want to retract the ladder. You don't have to because it's in space and there's no drag. But I'm OCD. So here's the trick to getting back into orbit around the Mun. Same thing as when you left Kerbin. You want to orbit to the east, to that 90-degree line, which right now is to the left. It's hard to tell which keys you need to push to make your heading that way. So what I like to do is just gently ease off the planet with the thrust and then figure out which key I need to press to head towards that 90-degree line. And once I got it figured out, then I'll start increasing the thrust. And you want to go basically horizontal with your rocket when you're about less than 1,000 meters off the planet, because again, there's not much gravity, you don't have drag. You can go horizontal as soon as you're not going to hit any mountains or anything. So make sure your SAS is on. I like to turn on RCS as well. And let's gently lift off. Figure out which way is 90 degrees. Okay, there we go. And get it down there. About right here for now. Increase your thrust a bit. G key to bring that lander legs back in, because again, I'm OCD. And now we can basically start leveling out horizontal. Don't go too far. You don't want to aim it toward the surface again. Keep an eye on your apoaps here. You want it back to about that 15,000 meter altitude to get back into orbit around the Mun. You can't just go directly back to Kerbin, even though we're pointed at Kerbin right now. We need to go back to lunar orbit, and then make our way back to Kerbin. Prepare to hit the X key. Okay. So our apoaps is at 16,000 meters. We're gonna coast up to pretty much our apogee at the apoaps there, and then we'll fire again to even out our orbit and make it circularize around the Moon. Because right now, if we weren't to burn again, we'll just crash back into the Moon on the opposite side. So let's go ahead and warp to about right here. We'll go ahead and, I guess, make a maneuver plan so I can kind of show you. Again, prograde. Keep an eye on your periaps, watch them even out, and boom, oh, a little too much. There, they should be about even now. 15,000 and 15,000, perfect. So we'll time warp to that maneuver node. And since we set a maneuver node, we can hit the SAS maneuver option. RCS is still on. I'm just gonna leave it on because we got plenty left and we'll be at Kerbin soon enough. I'm not worried about running out. All right, so it says we're gonna burn in about 25 seconds. Let's get a little bit closer to it. Go back to our map view so I can really see this. It's gonna be pretty quick. One, burn. All right, that was it. Already cut the engine. So we're in a stable orbit around the Mun. Basically, the last thing we need to do is make a burn for Kerbin. Now, if we had a heavier capsule command module and, re-entry heat was a thing in this game, because it's currently not, I would say you want to bring your orbit or bring your injection burn back to Kerbin, not too steep, kind of skim the surface of Kerbin's atmosphere so you're not heating up too much. But we're just going to basically hit the densest part of Kerbin's atmosphere and make a direct splashdown or landing directly from the Mun, because again, we don't have to worry about heat. Like in the Apollo missions, the Apollo capsule, the command module, was so massive, so much mass, that they had to ablate the heat little by little by dipping into the atmosphere of Earth and back in, rolling in and out, slowing the vessel down little by little, so they didn't just slam into the atmosphere going however fast they were going, like 25,000 miles per hour or something, and just break apart. I think it was about 24,000 miles per hour, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so we gotta make a maneuver node. Just go ahead and click it. It's about right here. Create maneuver plan and prograde. We want to eject ourselves out of the Mun's atmosphere. Go till it's gone. All right, till we hit Kerbin. Just bring that periaps down to the lowest point, closest to Kerbin you can, and then just keep prograding. Prograde. Bringing that periaps closer to Kerbin. Stop. Bring it closer. Let's see where we're at. 494,000 meters off. Not good enough. Let's keep it going. We want that to be about 20 to 30,000 meters for our purposes. So we'll enter Kerbin's atmosphere directly from this burn we're about to do, but we're going to hit the lower parts of the atmosphere, and that's going to create drag that will slow us down, bring our apogee, which is this point over here, down, down, down to the point where we're trapped. We're not going to escape the well of Kerbin's gravity, and it'll just bring us down to the surface. So let's go ahead and warp to our maneuver. Hit our SAS maneuver button. Since we set that up, it'll point us directly where we need to go. Stand by. 42 seconds. Burning in 3, 2, 1, burn. See our apogee's rising. It will turn into our periaps once it gets into orbit around Kerbin. And we'll do manual control now, down to about 20 to 30,000. All right, that's good right there. If you go too much, just hit the prograde and thrust a little bit to bring that back up. Easy day. Delete the maneuver node, and we're gonna go ahead and we don't have to do anything else except for stage SEP, and we'll do that once we get closer to Kerbin. We're gonna time warp to about right here. Bye, Mun. Hello, Kerbin. Okay. I like horizon view. There it is. We can go ahead and stage SEP now. Let's turn our heat shield toward the atmosphere. We're doing this a little high, but it doesn't matter. And when we stage SEP, it should also activate our shoots spacebar. Spacebar. All right, spacebar's not doing anything. Let's just hit go. There we go. There it goes. Now we can turn our SAS off, we can turn RCS off. It's all passive now. Our fate is in the hands of our shoots. Let's go ahead and time warp a little bit faster. Ooh, is that Florida? You can tell that's a former impact crater of a meteorite. Pretty big one, actually. Looks like we're gonna land in the desert, maybe. The desert. Okay, we are in the less dense parts of the atmosphere. The thinner parts, I guess, is another way to say it. And we're falling. Hey, we might actually have a splashdown, which is preferable. That way you don't land on a mountain range and roll. Go to sea level for our altimeter. And now hopefully our shoots pop, brah. We need our shoots to pop. We're gonna turn the HUD off, make this suspenseful. See if our chutes do their job. It's rushing in. No, are you gonna live? Yeah, I knew it was gonna happen. I had the faith. Faith and chutes. Alright, so we have successfully returned from the Mun. That is how it's done. Use this video as your guide. Do exactly what I did. Follow along on your phone while you're playing this game. Pause it when you need to. Rewind it if you are struggling to understand something. Let's go ahead and EVA Jeb, because he's a daredevil. Oh, yeah, once we get closer to the water, we'll have him jump off. Actually, I'm impatient. We're going to do it now. Daredevil Jeb. It's not a thrill enough for him just to be under chutes and splash down. He's got to actually jump in the water. We'll do it at like 60 meters. He should survive that. Here we go. Whee! Splash. Hey, he lived. Unless he gets hit by the command module. All right. Yay. Well, that's going to wrap up this one, you guys. Good luck to you. Hope your mission to the Mun and back is successful as well. Until our next one, Godspeed.